Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Michael from Hustle Sheets, and today I want to make this video to show everyone how easy it is to build a professional looking dashboard inside of Google Looker Studio using data from a Google spreadsheet. And the reason why is because a lot of times business owners don't understand how to track their data. Number one, their sales data, marketing data, or leads data. But number two, they don't understand what to do once they have this data, how to build reports. So we have all of this data here, but it's really hard to understand things such as who our top salesperson is, where most of our jobs coming from, which lead sources, what job types are we selling the most. Easily see things like where our sales came from last week, month over month sale trends, things like that. So I want to start this by giving a brief overview of how this Google Sheets and Looker Studio works. Like I said, Looker is basically just another tool, just like Google Sheet or Google Docs. So you could share this dashboard just like you would a Google Sheet or Google Doc. And the way it works is you would continue to enter in all of your data, whether it's, in this case, it's going to be sales data for my example. You're going to be entering all of your sales data just like you would into a Google Sheet. And then we connect it with this dashboard. And then whenever you add or change data here, it's going to automatically update in the dashboard. So it's essentially a real-time dashboard that you build once and you can just always open it up. You can do things like change the date range, look at last month's data, and it's going to automatically update. You can reset things. You can easily see your trends. You can easily see who's a top salesperson. You see all of your main KPIs up front. So I'm going to have this spreadsheet and dashboard template available to download in the description if you guys want to download it and then follow along. But I'm going to start by basically building this out step by step and showing you exactly how I'm going to build this dashboard, okay? And we're going to start with this spreadsheet here. And while I'm not going to build this spreadsheet from scratch because it's a pretty simple sales tracking spreadsheet, I'm going to go over it and I'm going to go over a few rules that we have to follow. Okay, so yeah, this is just a basic sales tracking spreadsheet, meaning every time a sale comes in, somebody will log this data manually, and then they'll kind of just, put in things like the client name, the status, the job type, the sales rep, the date it was sold, the lead source, the total amount, the job total here, and then the commission amount for the salesperson, things like that, okay? So the rules that we need to follow. These are rules that you would follow for any sort of a spreadsheet that you're building where you're tracking standardized data, but especially if you want to build a dashboard from it. So number one is all of the column headers need to be unique, so we can't have two columns with the same name. Number two is you always have to have at least one date column. And the reason why I say this, because I've seen a lot of spreadsheets where people will kind of create a tab for each month of sales as an example, or perhaps each year, but the more common one I see is each month, perhaps even each week. And then they'll put like May sales and they'll put all of their sales in like this, right? And then that means that they don't end up putting a date here because they think that, oh, everything's in this tab, we know that it's May. But no matter what, even though I suggest you put all of your sales on one tab, no matter what, you always need to have at least one date column, sometimes even two. And then when we're talking about dates, I highly suggest that you be more specific with your dates. Don't just have a column that's called date, okay? Name it sold date, because when it just says date, we don't know what happened on that date. Whether it was sold, whether that's when the lead was created, whether that's when the project was finished. These are all different events within any sort of a sales process or any process in general. And you want to separate out these fields, right? So sometimes I'll just see a date and then people will kind of update one date over time and you don't keep that historical information of when something happened. If you have multiple dates that are important to note, definitely separate them out into different columns, okay, and then just mark it that way. And that's also a great way to understand what stage this current deal is in, depending on if a date exists in that column or not. The second rule is always use drop-down menus. It's called data validation in Google Sheets, wherever you can standardize the data. And the reason for this is because you want to keep things standardized and you want to make sure that whoever's entering in the data can't have room to mess it up and type it in a different way. What can happen is if someone types in someone's sales name, a sales rep name, and they only type in the first name, so let's say they only type in Albus, for example, and you want to create a dashboard from this, and when it comes time to look at the sales, let me zoom in. When it comes time to look at the sales for each sales rep, it's going to have two different numbers, one for the one that's full name and one that's just the first name. Or if it's misspelled, or a lot of times I'll see people accidentally put in like an extra, like a trailing, like an extra space at the end, and that's just, it's not going to add up correctly, okay? So whatever you want to view your metrics by, whatever you want to group your metrics by, if you want to see, okay, the total dollars or the total amount of jobs for each lead source, for each sales rep, for each job type, for each status, you have to have those in drop-down menus, okay? And the way that we create drop-down options is really simple. Basically, just highlight down the field, highlight down the column, and then you right-click it, and then you go into drop-downs, and then you can basically just add a drop-down here, okay? Just add the options like this. So it's super simple to do. I'll have another video where I kind of go over in detail how to do it. And by the way, this sheet might look a little bit different because I'm using Google's new like table format, but it's basically just a regular spreadsheet, okay? So you can basically just convert this, I'll show you guys real quick, revert to unformatted data. So yeah, it's just a regular spreadsheet, but they just have a new kind of a version where it basically structures and standardizes the field types. It makes it more like an Airtable, just a standardized table. But you can do it either way, it doesn't really matter. And this last rule is basically just don't mix in text field types with a number type. So let's say you have a column. So let's say you have like a job total column here. Don't put things like waiting on check, right? This is like a text type. It's going to kind of mess up the data, and it's not good practice. So if you have a note like that, just put it into a comment like this, did not pay yet, or pay yet, or just put it like in a dedicated notes column like this, okay? So now that we have our Google Sheet all set up, we want to create the dashboard. So go to lookerstudio.google.com, hit blank report, and then from here, we are going to add in a data source. We can add in a bunch of other different data sources for Looker Studio, but right now we're going to stick with just Google Sheets, okay? And then from here, you're going to see all of the spreadsheets that you have access to in your Google Drive. Our spreadsheet is called Sales Tracker Demo, and then the tab where the data is, the sheet is sales data, okay? So select your spreadsheet, and then find the tab, and then just leave this as is. You only include a specific range if your data doesn't start on the very first row, which I recommend that you do anyways. So go to add, and then here it's gonna connect it to, so that whenever this is updated, the dashboard will automatically update as well. And it's going to kind of give us a sample table, okay? So this sample table, as you can see here, the data source is our spreadsheet. If I click off of it, this menu goes away. If I click on it, it comes back. And what it does is it just brings like a sample column from our spreadsheet, which in this case is the client name, and then a metric called record count. Now, record means row, so whenever you see record count, just think of it as row count. And this is just telling us how many rows where Emma Watson is the client. So she has 13 rows. We can verify this by going to our spreadsheet, filtering it by Emma, whoops, wrong one, client name, Emma Watson. There are 13 rows, as you can see down here, right? Okay, so now I want to briefly just go over how to navigate your data source within Looker Studio. So what you want to do is just click on your element if one exists, and then go over here and go to edit data source. And then now you can basically see your data source, which is the Google Sheet, or you can go to resource, manage added data sources, and then here go to edit. So it's the same thing. So what this is this basically just shows us our data source, which is our spreadsheet, right? So it's every single column and then any metrics that we might have. So these are all of the columns that we have on the spreadsheet, just like this. And then it shows us the data type. You can add in a description as a note just to kind of describe that metric. Default aggregation is how the numbers, so the job total, how it's just going to show up onto the tables. Don't worry about this. Okay, so let's go to done. Click done here. Now the first thing I want to do, I think the best way for me to teach this is just to kind of start building a table right away and then work towards building this dashboard, okay? So I'm going to delete this sample table and insert a new one so you guys can see it from scratch. Just go to insert, find the table here. And then let's say now I want to create a table that shows me how many sales each sales rep has, okay? So under date range dimension, get rid of this for now. I'll explain what that means in a little bit. Change this, you can get rid of it and change it to sales rep. So just click on it, you can start typing or just find sales rep here. This is also, you can also drag things over like this, okay? So right now, reset all the filters. So right now, this shows us how many rows each sales rep has in our spreadsheet, right? And each row in our case is basically a sale, so it's basically telling us that Albus Dumbledore has 23 sales, same with Hermione, Snape has 20, Harry Potter has 18 and Ron has 16. So let's say we want to see the total number of sales, right? In our spreadsheet, the sales is job total. We also have a commission amount. So all you have to do is go under metric. So the dimension is what we want to see the numbers grouped by, right? And then for the metric, let's add in job total here. And then let's also add in commission amount, right? So now it looks like this. And then we can even go and show summary row. And now we can see the total sales for everybody, and then we see it broken down, right? But let's say we want to change a couple things. We want to change what this metric is called, and we want to change this to a dollar amount. So just go to your data source, find job total, and change it from a number type into a currency type. And then same with commission amount here as well. There we go. And let's say we want to change a name of record count to sales or jobs, right? Or deals. Let's make it deals. All you have to do is click on that table, go to the metric, and then here on the left, you'll see like a little pencil, and then just change the name to deals and press enter. And then let's say for job total, we want to change the name on the dashboard to sales just so it's easier. And then from here, we want to get rid of the amount and just change it to commission amount. So you can basically just change it at each chart or table. You can also change it at the global level, at the data source level here, just by kind of changing the name here. But I don't like to do that because I want to just keep the name so I know exactly which column it references, okay? But you can do it that way too. So we already have this. We can also change this to a different type of a table, like a table with bars or a table with a heat map. Heat map is where the darkest color is the highest amount. A bar looks like this. Let's say we want to see the bar, but we also want to see the number. Just go to style and then go to show number, right? So this is metric number 1, show the number. Metric number 2, show the number. We want to make it compact so it's a bit easier to read. And then metric number 3, we want to show the number as well. We want to make it compact, right? So we already have a pretty cool looking table that's like really super easy to build, right? But let's say we want to see something like average sale, right? So we want to see the average sale for each of these 23 jobs, right? How much is Albus Dumbledore selling per job on average? All you have to do is add another metric. So in this case, it's called sales. But instead of aggregating it by sum, we're going to just click on this pencil here and then make it average. Okay, let me change this back to a regular table so the numbers show right away. Okay, so I'm going to do that again, okay? Make this table bigger here. So let's say we just add in sales, and then we're going to change it from sum to average. And then we can also change the name to average sale. And then we already see that it's 33.8 thousand, right? So now we know how much each salesperson is averaging. We can also, let's type in sale again. We can also just get like the highest sale he's had. Biggest deal, or largest sale, right? And then we can do something like that. So these are all of their biggest deals. So that already is like a lot of data to look at. Now, let's say we want to do something, we want to create something called like profit, right? So in this company's case, the profit number is the sales minus the commission, okay? Now, this is kind of like the first big thing to really learn about Looker Studio is how to create these formulas, right? So inside of Google Sheet, what we would have done, we would have inserted a new field or a new column. So we would insert column to the right. We might call it profit. We would name it profit. I'm going to name it profit from G Sheet. And then we just make a formula, like a calculation. We go job total minus commission amount, and then we enter it in, and then we have this profit number, right? Now, how would we do this inside of Looker Studio? Now, you can do it this way, like the way I just showed you, and then reconnect the data, which I'll show you how to do it at the end of the video, whenever you want to add in a new number or a new column. Or you can just create it on the Looker Studio side. So, which means that formula, just go to the edit source. Now we're going to add a field. So we're going to add a column basically. We're going to add a calculated field, which means that it's a formula. And then we're going to type in sum of job total. You can just click on it, minus sum of commission amount. just like this, and then we're going to name this profit. And it's the same thing. You can even do it like this where it's just job total minus commission, but I just like to aggregate it in a sum just because I feel like sometimes it messes up the aggregation. But either way is fine, especially for just simple addition and subtraction. But yeah, so just hit save. And then go back to all fields, and then I'm going to change, now we're going to have a new metric called profit. I'm going to change it from a number type to a currency type. And then now we have access here to profit. You can just drag it here too. And then now we have the profit. For some reason it didn't change the data type to a number, so I'm going to go and double check if I just did it right. So sometimes this happens. Let's just refresh this and see if that fixes it. I'll refresh the dashboard, the page as well. So when that happens, you can also just force it to change here, but find that metric, data type, and make it number, but it usually won't happen. And then let's say we want to also make these numbers all like compact, so it's a little bit easier to read. Metric 5, compact, metric 6, compact, right? So yeah, now we have this. I'm gonna turn it into a bar so it looks a little bit nicer. So yeah, so that's how you create formulas, right? And I'll show you one more formula to create, so you guys have like basic ones. After I hit show number, okay. So this already looks pretty cool, right? Really simple to build. Now let's say we want to create a metric that is called profit margin, right? So that would be the profit divided by the total sales. Now inside of a spreadsheet, what we would do is we would create it like this. We would have a profit, which would be job total minus sum, right? And then now we create one called profit margin here, and then we go another formula, which is this profit divided by this. Change this to a percentage, and we have, these are obviously fake numbers, so it's like 90% profit margin, blah, blah, blah. We can do it this way, right? But let's say we just want to have no formulas in the Google Sheet, and we just want to do this on Looker Studio, which you totally can. You can do it either way. You can create it in the spreadsheet side or on this side. So all you have to do is go to Edit Data Source, add a field, add a calculated field, and we have that field profit, and then just divide it by, I'm going to put the sum of all sales or job total. So now we have profit margin. Hit save. So this way, if you also don't want whoever's entering in data to see certain data, even though they could probably just calculate this themselves, at least it's not going to show and make it so obvious. You can also just create these metrics inside of Looker Studio. And you can do that with a lot of things. It can get pretty complicated with the formulas it can create. You basically have access to like all sorts of formulas in here. So let's find that formula, that new number. And then I'm going to change this to a percent. For some reason, profit wasn't made into a dollar. It's bugging out, as you can see. I don't know why it's up there. Anyways, I'm going to hit done. Okay, so now I can add in profit margin as well. And then let me just make it show the number. Okay, and then let's say for the header, we want this to show even if it's like a longer name. Just go back to style at the very top. You'll see table header and go to wrap text. Okay, so that's how this works. And as you can see, we just created like a really simple table, like really quickly. And the cool thing is, if I want, so this is all of our, let's say these are all of our main metrics, right? These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main metrics. But let's say we want to view this same exact data, but we want to view it for a like our lead sources. You literally just copy this table and then you just paste it, and then you just change the dimension. And okay, one really annoying thing is what's going on here. Okay, I don't know what this is. What's going on here is it's auto filtering, right? So whenever I click on something, it's going to filter the entire dashboard, which is cool or not cool depending on how you look at it. But you can just reset the filters this way. You can turn that off under chart interactions. Okay, so if you had other elements on here, I'll show you guys that in a little bit. You can, but I don't like it on because like you literally click around and it messes up the entire data. Okay, so I just copied this table. You can literally just change this from sales rep to lead source. And then it already has all of and now you can already see like quickly like which lead sources have the most sales, average sale, things like that, right? So this is really cool already. Okay, so I just wanted to make this table to show you guys mainly how it works as far as like creating other metrics. Okay, now let's say like right now this shows lifetime. Well, let me do one thing. Let me just add in a scorecard real quick, okay? Well, no, let me do this first. So right now, this shows the lifetime of sales on this spreadsheet, right? But one really important concept to know inside of Looker is how date ranges work and how date filters work, okay? So let's say I want to see these two same exact tables, but I want to see it for just like last month or last week or this year to date, whatever. So go to Insert, and then you're going to add in a new date range control here. Now, this is where we set the default date range filter, meaning whenever we open up this dashboard, what's the default date range going to be? What's everyone going to see it, okay? See it as. I want to set this to this year to date, so whenever they open it up, it's always going to show this year to date, no matter which day it is. Okay, so now it's January 1st to March 27th. But as you can see, nothing changed. So we still have 100 deals for almost $3 million. And even if I change this date range to like last quarter, hit apply, nothing changes. And why is that? The reason why is because when you click on this table, under date range dimension, nothing is in here, meaning that this filter is not going to control this, okay? There's two ways to adjust this date range. You can do it fixed, meaning that you can literally just go, oh, we can't do it yet either. It's only going to work with any date range filters if you tell the table which date we're looking at. And the reason why is because there could be multiple dates, right? Sometimes businesses want to see the sales based on when this lead was created. So that's like saying, hey, for the month of January, out of all the leads that were created in January, how much did those leads sell? That's what it would mean if we did this. If we change this date range dimension to lead created date. So now it's saying, here, let me just change this to a specific month. So let's go to January to January here. So what this is saying is that for all the leads that were created in January, 7 of them sold. So it doesn't matter when, if it's sold like much later, it's just that whenever they were created. But a lot of times when it comes to sales, we want to look at when the actual sale happened, right? So in that case, we're going to change this to sold date. Now, this is showing all the deals that actually sold inside of January. So it's saying for Ron Weasley, show me all the deals, all the rows where the sold date is in between here, okay? So I'm going to reset this filter here. So now this is going to show from this year to date. So now it's going to show me all of the sales that happened this year to date based on this sold column. Meaning that if there was a sold date that was outside of this date range, or if it was missing, it's not going to show on here. And let me show you how that works in practice, okay? So I'm going to find a sold date that was this year to date, which means that it's before March 28th. That's when I'm recording this video. So Servius Snape had this sale here for $16,000 on March 9th, okay? Now let's say I delete this here and I go back to the report. And if I refresh this data, this sale is going to drop. So you see it dropped a bit to 301 now, right? And that's because this table is only taking all rows where Servius Snape had a sold date that was in between here. So that means if it's outside of this range or it's missing, it's not going to be there. So a lot of times people will say, oh wait, I had a sale in December, but it's not showing on the dashboard. And then I go back and look, it's because the date is missing or it's outside of that range, something like that. So that's something really important to consider. So that was kind of like a convoluted way to describe how date ranges work, but I just think it's a really important concept, okay? So let me go back here, let me fix some of this. This shouldn't be this way. Okay. So this null is basically where all those empty rows I just deleted. So I'm going to refresh it now. Okay. delete this table. So I hope you guys understand now how the dates work. Okay, so now if I adjust this date to last quarter, it'll basically update for this. Okay, so I hope this kind of building this table helps you understand how calculated fields work, how date range dimensions work, things like that. Okay, you can also adjust the date range to be fixed for just this single table only, and I'll kind of go over this when I add a few more elements to the table. Okay, to this dashboard, I mean. So let's go with adding these 4 scorecards up top. Okay, so we have sales, jobs, average size, and then a profit. So go to insert. I gotta stop saying so. Okay, so go to insert, go to, where are we? Scorecard. And then here, we're going to change this again to the sold date, because we want to view the sales of based on when it's sold, okay? And under metric, we're going to change this to job total. Here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And let's say we want to rename this to sales. And then let's say we want to make it compact. So I went to style, to compact. And then let's say we also want to compare this. So we don't just want to see this number, we want to see a percentage of like comparing it to a previous date range period, okay? So let's say I want to compare it to last year. So we'll go to custom. Oh, sorry. Keep this at auto, but under comparison date range, toggle it on and then select up here, previous period or previous year. So previous period would be for the 3 months prior to this, which would be for like September to December. Previous year would be January and to March 27th of last year. So previous year. So we're up 300% since the same time frame of last year, okay? Which is good. So now I'm going to go to theme. I just want to change this theme to look like this so I can actually see the scorecards. All right. So, all right, now I am going to, now you just literally copy this. So I just Control C, Control V, or Command if you're in a Mac. I'm on a Mac. And then I'm going to change this to, what were the other 2 numbers? It was jobs, average, and then profit. So this one is a record count because it's just a count of the rows. I'm going to call this one deals. Copy this over one more time. I'm going to make this the average job total. So it would be job total, it would be average, and I'm going to change the name to average sale. And then copy one more time. And then I'm going to go to profit. And let's just add one more called profit margin. Move this a little bit in here. Maybe change the size a little bit. Okay, so there we go. We have this here. So now we have kind of a cool looking dashboard already. So let's say I want to change this to look at last month. So all of February. Boom, it's going to update everything already. And then just reset the filters like this. Now I want to add just a couple more things. Let's say you want to see the top sales guys, lead sources, and monthly sales. All right, the monthly sales is the more interesting one, but let me just get to that in a second. So let's say I want to add in a column chart like this. Make it horizontal. Change this to sold date. Change this to job total. Change the name to sale. So this is why sometimes people just want to change the name here. So let's say I make this sales, and then description, original name was job total, just so I have a note. You can do it this way too, so you don't have to keep on changing it, right? So let's say I go into sale. Now it's just called sales, which is kind of nice. So make it look like this. Let's turn off this filtering thing. And what I meant by that is, let's say we click on Albus Dumbledore, it's going to filter everything by that, which is kind of cool, but we're going to add these filters up top anyway, so you don't have to do that. And then I just hate when I click on something, it just loads the entire page. So under setup, just go to the very bottom under chart interactions, turn off cross filtering, turn off sorting. Now for this one here, I have a couple things I like to do. I like to get rid of the legend, because we're going to be adding titles to all of this too, okay? And then I'll probably also get rid of these grid lines just because I don't like the way it looks. And then maybe also just get rid of the axis labels here. And then we're going to show the data labels so we can see the actual dollar amounts here. And then, so now we have this for sales rep. And I might as well add the title now so I can just copy and paste the format. So go to style, go to, and you can change this to like top sales reps, something like this. We're going to make it look kind of nice like this. And I'll make it like videos or like kind of whatever on like how to show people like what I think looks nice for dashboards, kind of design tricks and tips. Okay, so let's do it like this, make it a little bit smaller. Copy and paste this. We're going to change this now to lead sources, for example. You get the idea, right? So you can basically just change it to whatever you want to view it by. It's really, really simple. Like this, change the name to top lead sources. All right, now these are easy. Now let's do one where we can see the monthly sales, okay? So insert time series chart like this. Make it a little bit bigger. Now we want to view it by sold date. I've gone over this many times. Sold date, change the date range to sold date. Now the dimension is also going to be a date because that's what we're going to be grouping the sales by, right? Now all you have to do is go to here, edit, change the data type from date, go to date and time and change it to year month, and then change the name to maybe like month, like this, okay? And then you go to style, you can change this to a bar, show the data labels so you can see the total sales by month, or you keep it at a line, whatever, it's up to you. There you go. Now we have a little chart showing this, right? And then you can probably just get rid of the legend too, and then show the title, monthly sales, something like this. Feel free to change the colors. I'm also going to get rid of these kind of grid lines because I just think less is more in these cases. We want to show as much data information as possible in as little space as possible, and we don't want to overwhelm people with just too much to look at because it can look really, really busy. Okay, so under left axis, turn this off. I don't need it. Maybe change the color of one so it kind of stands out a little bit. Purple looks nice. You know, it's nice to just, yeah, there's like little tricks that you might want to do, like all the metrics are the same colors. I don't know, up to you guys. You can play around with it. All right, so this is pretty good, right? Now, I want to add a couple more things though. So I want to add filters now. So for filters, so that we can do stuff like this, just go to insert, go to drop down list here, and then enter one drop down list. Get rid of this date, range, dimension. You don't really need it. Otherwise, it's only going to show you sales reps where they had like where they had a sale in this time period. If they didn't have a sale in this date range, it's not going to show. A lot of times, people look at their dashboard and say, "Oh, I'm missing a salesperson," but they're really not. It's just because that person didn't have a sale. Once they have a sale in that time, then it's going to show. But just to show all your sales reps of all time, just keep it like this. This record count here just basically shows like a quick little glance. So if you wanted to, you can change this to sales. And then it can basically show you just quickly like the sales you want to look at, which is kind of nice. You can sort it by the metric or by the name. Let's make it by sales ascending. So it looks like this. Maybe be a little bit smaller. And again, you just start copying and pasting. Change it to like job type. Change it to whatever you want, status. So you can basically make all of these charts for like anything that you are tracking on your spreadsheet. All right, so you do it like this. Here. and then just maybe like this. Now, let's say, I'm going to move all this up. This already is a pretty good dashboard. Now, let's say I also want to add in a table at the bottom with by month, just show me all time, right? Where it's not affected by this dashboard here, by this date range filter. So I need more space in here, obviously. So go to theme layout, go to layout. Under canvas size, you can change the how it looks, whatever. But then just add in a few pixels, like 1200 pixels, maybe a bit more, 1300 pixels. And then I'm going to copy this table, and I'm just going to paste it at the bottom. And then I'm going to change this to sold date. And then again, I'm going to change this from date type to a month. You can also do it by like week and stuff. Let me show you. Change it to like week. Which is kind of cool. You need to break it down by every single week. But to keep it simple, let's make it just month for now. And then month here. And then I want to sort it so that the latest month is up top. Month. Okay. Now this is great, but let's say this only shows 3 months. Let's say I just want to see everything, right? You can basically just X out the date range dimension where up here, not under the dimension, but under the date range dimension. And then now it's going to show, whoops, now it's always going to show you this here. You can also keep it fixed if you wanted to. So let's say we made this into sold date. Go down here into date range filter. Auto basically keeps it at the filter. So if as long as there's a date range filter on the page, it's going to follow that under auto, okay? But if you make it custom, you can basically keep it under, I don't know, let's say you just want to look at just always to have this today minus 0 years, today minus 12 months, end date. Oh, whoops. Minus 12 months. So now this table is always just going to show 12 months. Oh, 13. Oh, I did it wrong. It's weird, right, with how the date ranges works. But yeah, so now if I go to view here, this is never going to update this table. So it updates everything except for this, okay? But the filter will still update everything. So let's say we want to look at all kitchen remodels. This is how it looks for all kitchen remodels, okay? Now, last thing we want to do is a couple of fun things. We want to call this, let's say, Magic Construction Dashboard. Magic Construction Company Dashboard. Okay. Let's insert a title for this. Let's go sales overview. Make it bold. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. You can play around with this, right? This is where you guys' design skills will come into play. Just sales overview is fine. Maybe you want to add in here. So the title here, go into sales rep detailed breakdown. And then here is going to be monthly breakdown, right? And then voila. So we just created this dashboard. I don't know how long that was, but it could be done really, really fast, okay? And whenever we add data here, whoops, I'm gonna close the old one. Whenever we add any data here, it's gonna automatically update every 15 minutes, or you can literally just click refresh, okay? Now, only people with edit access to this dashboard will be able to refresh it, but it looks like this. Now, let's say this is just a sales overview, and now you want to add in like a trends, right? You can literally just add in more pages under theme layout, or where's, oh, just here under add page, right? So now we have 2 pages. This one, the first one we made, can be called sales overview. This one can be called like trends. You can make a new page called, I don't know, sales rep breakdown, like further breaking down. Like let's say you want to see you know, for each sales reps, which jobs they're selling, what type of jobs they're selling, this and that, right? You can do it for anything you want. And I'll kind of go over more complicated dashboards in other videos, but this is just a really basic build, right? So now you have different pages here. You can change the way that this is laid out, so you can show the You can show the pages up top like this. Some people like it like this. You can add in pictures like I did, which I guess I'll go over in another video. Okay, this is a good thing to show. Why does this break, right? This is on the other dashboard, but people will see this a lot and they will kind of freak out, but it's not a big deal. It just says the underlying data has changed. All this means is that we have updated some sort of columns in here, right? So all you need to do is go to edit, click on whatever table that was, edit data source, and then just reconnect the data. It's just going to pop up, and then just wait for it, and then just hit reconnect. And then 90% of the time, that's just going to fix all the problems. We have new fields. That's it. Hit apply. And then you're going to like refresh up here if you need to, but most likely just refresh over here, and that should fix it. Okay, so that's all you need to do whenever something breaks. The most common reason I see for something breaking is that people add a new column, which they just have to reconnect it, or they rename a column, or they accidentally delete this column name, which happens a lot with A1. People accidentally delete it there. So just make sure that you go back and type the column name exactly how it was, and then reconnect it, or just reconnect it with a new name if you really want to change the name. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Now, the last step really comes down to sharing this dashboard with your team members. Now, unfortunately, you can't just share certain pages of a dashboard. You have to share the entire dashboard, okay? But there are different levels of permissions. If you give someone just view access, so under link settings, you can just give it to whoever you want based on the email, and then just change it to editor or viewer. Editor will have access to clicking edit, and then they can change things on the dashboard, and they can also refresh this. A viewer only has access to viewing the data, which is nice. So if you go to, let me show you what the viewer has. Okay, so let me go to public, copy the save, and then I'm going to copy this link, and then I'm going to open it in incognito mode. Okay, so this is private mode. This is what the viewer sees. They basically just see this. They can still mess with the filters. They can reset things, but they can't just refresh the data on their own. Okay, so that's what the viewer has. Now, one of the last things I also like to do is I like to just insert a piece of text here. And then I'm going to say data source, and then I'll call it sales tracker demo sheet, which is our spreadsheet up here. I'm going to take this URL, copy it, and then I am going to link it, insert a link here, make sure it opens in a new tab, and hit apply. So now, if someone looks at a dashboard and they want to look at the data as well, if you want to give them access to it, then if they have access to the sheet, then they will be able to view this. Okay, but I don't know why it didn't open in a new tab. I have to click it twice. Okay, there you go. So now it opens in the new tab. Now, same with this dashboard itself, the URL itself. I like to copy this link, make a new tab or something, or just hyperlink it somewhere. But I'm going to say links, and then I'll say link to dashboard, and then maybe have a link here. So you can basically just share this link out and make sure they have access to it. You can make it public or just for specific emails, but that's how you would share it, okay, just within this URL. So that was a really simple way to build a really useful dashboard using data in a Google Sheet. If you guys want to purchase this exact same template, you guys can do that in the description below. I have other templates and dashboards as well. You guys can also book a call with me using Clarity. These are all of my reviews here. So I take lots of calls to kind of just go over someone's company's data systems and how to scale, how to optimize. And if you guys also want to join any courses that I have, just check the description, and then you guys can check all those out. Let me know what videos you guys want me to record, and I'll do my best to get them out there. Thank you guys.